In this video, we hear from farmers who have recently harvested trees and learn about the financial outcome of these operations.
So here at the windward end of this paddock we have a sharp, steep little gully that was too difficult to drain, so it's been fenced off. It's about 0.9 hectares and it was logged about 10 years ago, and there's 1,200 tonne came out of that at 33 years old, so that certainly inspired me to replant it at an average price of $42 a tonne. They weren't pruned, so yeah, I was quite happy with that. $48,000 was the total that we got for that small block.
The best we've harvested was a block just across from here. We netted 58,000 a hectare for that. That was the very best. They were 8 metre pruned and they were good. But we've been somewhere between sort of 45,000 a hectare, and we'd averaged I think $42,000 a hectare for the plantings up till recently. And while we've been talking about high prices over the last 3 or 4 years, we've only been averaging around about $32,000 a hectare for that. But that's still very good money, and compare that with dry stock farming on some of the steeper hills, there's just no comparison.
And that Darkface was planted in 1982 to 84. Had been going through a series of wetter years, and that steep Darkface was slumping quite badly and was coming down through the bottom fence onto the flats. So we actually managed to get in those days, a catchment board subsidy to plant that to stop the slumping. And it was fully pruned, three lifts. And we milled it at 27 and 28 years old, a year and a half ago. And it's been replanted the same year as milling. In fact, the funds from the forestry, milling the forestry over on the back, the Darkface, yielded us enough money to do a whole lot of things, including that water storage pond for the irrigation.
So what we have in the background here is our first logging, almost 3 years ago now. Our first Clearfell was a block that we planted in 1975, and you can see there's some Douglas fir left in the middle. We planted either side of that. There's about 2.7 hectares. Mandy and I planted it over about a fortnight, and that was felled 2011, and we netted $65,000 from 2.7 hectares. We have since replanted it, and instead of taking a fortnight to plant it, we got contractors in and they planted the whole lot in 2 hours with 14 men. The advantage of that is that one, the trees were fresh out of the nursery, so they'd only been lifted the day before, and the second one is that they were experienced planters, so they were well planted. The actual costs and returns, if you look at it in a little more detail, I think it cost us about $1,050 a hectare to replant, and that's including trees, planting and spraying, and the whole regime with the pruning and thinning we estimate will be another $2,500 a hectare probably.
I mentioned earlier the work that Leith Knowles and Bruce Manley did here in the agroforestry estate model. It's been a really valuable tool to gain some confidence from bank managers and accountants on understanding of what's going on the farm. This shows in graph form the areas planted from the early 1980s through till about 2000. It was quite, not exactly haphazard, but an uneven planting, which translated on this graph. This shows the number of labour requirements, man days per year, which if you're doing it yourself, it's sweat and labour. If you're paying contractors, it's cold cash. And this translated at the peak to $25,000 to $30,000 a year of cash that I had to find to pay contractors. The main harvest is predicted from 2008. We calculated these trees would be harvested at 26 years old. In fact, I've held the trees to 28 before I started harvesting. And we'll be able to fill in this gap from about 2025 by just holding off harvesting some of these larger blocks. So it's a very useful planning tool for succession planning, or for disposable income planning. And the last one here shows the cash flow back in 1991 when this work was done. The income from the farm today is over $100,000 from the 200 hectares, but the 140 hectares in woodlots is producing the equivalent or more if I choose to harvest more. And those 140 hectares are the steepest and least productive from a farming point of view.
Just in the last 6 months we've managed to harvest our first trees. It was all very exciting. There was 2.5 hectares of Pinus radiata. I hadn't planted either, well actually I had planted one of those blocks when I was a teenager from my father, and the other one was on a property that I bought. The trees had been planted 2 or 3 years, so I'd been involved in the low, medium and high pruning, and I was pretty excited to see my first truckloads of logs going out. It was in March, April of 2011, which was a little bit of a peak in the market. And I guess a good message would be to manage your expectations. I was thinking that these were great big prune butt logs and a bit rougher above that, but I was still thinking I might have made $25,000 a hectare. In fact, it ended up on the 2.5 hectares at about $16,000 a hectare net. But anyway, it was a nice little bit of income, the start of our forestry income. There's now a gap of 10 years and then the other trees will come online.
Yeah, as far as the financial return goes, and there are many variables because sometimes the log market's up and sometimes it's down, and you are not forced to sell on any given day, not like growing a crop of potatoes or something like that. We could have harvested these 5 or 6 years ago but chose not to. But the market came up last year. China was in the market and they were paying fairly well, so it came out at about, we calculate about $22,000 a hectare net before tax. I don't know if we could get that today, but I'm sure in the next decade the price will be up there again, and I won't be moving with the trees until it's back up there again.